Thank you all for joining me here today on Cooking with AJ. Today we're going to make Mary cookies, or otherwise known as loaded oatmeal cookies. Let's get started. First, we're going to go over the recipe. See, I wasn't kidding. They're actually called Mary cookies. Okay. Now we need 1 cup of butter, melted, 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar or light brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar today. 1 1/4 cups. 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 2 large eggs, room temperature, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of old-fashioned oats, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 cup of white chocolate chips, and 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now first we're going to melt the butter, and then we're going to put our sugars, our regular sugar and brown sugar. We're going to incorporate that and pour that into another bowl and let it chill in the refrigerator for 10 minutes while we're measuring out all our other dry ingredients. But right now, preheat your oven to 400 degrees. You only have to bake these at 325, but we always preheat our oven higher than what we need it at. So we're going to preheat our oven at 400 degrees today. Let's get started. Now you're going to need 1 cup of butter for today's cookies. That's 2 sticks of room temperature, just like the eggs, the butter, and you can cut it in big chunks. We're going to set it at 1 minute and check it at 15-second intervals. Now, see if I can show you this. The butter is not quite melted all the way, but it's very soupy and liquidy. Just give it a quick stir. But you want this a little bit hot when you go to add your sugar so that it won't caramelize, so it'll melt in right away. You give it a quick stir, it's all melted, but just make sure we're going to pop this in the microwave for another 10 seconds. Now, we are going to pour. Well, you could do either or. You know what? I'm just going to do it now. Get our sugars right in there. And we're going to whisk this together. Keep whisking until it's completely smooth. You do not want to put this in the refrigerator to cool down until it's completely smooth. No lumps whatsoever. If you see any lumps, just push them down and break them apart with a whisk. As you can see, your mixture should be brown and liquidy, sort of like caramel. Then put it in the refrigerator for 10 minutes and let it cool down. Now, while that's mixing, we're going to measure out all our dry ingredients for this. This recipe is very simple. Very simple. Like I said, 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of oats. Now our flour. Now we're going to use our quarter cups. So we'll add 8 of these, which will equal 2 cups. Now don't scoop your flour like if you're with the measuring cup. You actually use a spoon and pour it right in. And then you're going to take your knife. Actually, we have to get another knife. Two. Whatever way helps you to remember how many you put in there. If it helps you to say them out loud, you say them out loud. 3. Now this makes 1 cup. This is 4 of them. Six. 2 more. 7. 1 more. This is number 8. And that's 2 cups. Now our oats, we need 1 cup. Now for this, we're going to use the 1 cup. You want a half teaspoon of baking soda, not powder, it's some soda. A half teaspoon of salt and a quarter of teaspoon of cinnamon. There we go. Always measure the salt over the sink or over something. You don't want to spill too much of it in. Just to be on the safe side. Now a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. Perfect. Set that aside. 1 teaspoon. One teaspoon of vanilla and 2 eggs. My eyesight is really coming. Older you get, the more things go. Just need your hands off. Now we're going to add our egg to the mixture. Scroll down. Make sure you have a good sturdy wooden spoon and a good sturdy spoon. Add 1 egg in at a time. Now, we're going to add all of our dry ingredients into our bowl with the wet ingredients and eggs. We're finished. That up until everything's fully incorporated. You don't need a mixer, handheld, stand mixer. You don't need any of that. You can all do this all with a wooden spoon. Now, we have a bag of chocolate chips and a bag of white chocolate chips. We need a cup of each. So, and a cup of chocolate chip. Now, I don't know if you can see, the mixture is still pretty liquidy. So, if I try to scoop this out right now, I will have a fun time trying it. It just so happens I do have some ready made. That. Don't need this. Now, I can take out my scoops. Okay. So first, we're going to try it with a small scoop. Remember, whatever your recipe says, everything seems to be trial and error. The recipes for another batch of cookies I made said to use a very large scoop. I did that. The cookies all melted together. So it's a little bit of a process, and by having experience with this, you'll know what size you should use. We're gonna make 2 trays of these, and then we're gonna see how they come out. Put 6 on a tray. till you see how they're gonna come out. Now, if there's a little bit extra around it, you want them all to bake uniformly. All you want is a scoop of it. You don't want a heaping scoop, just one scoop of it. Oh, I forgot to tell you. You let that sit in the refrigerator for at least half an hour, if not a full hour. And I'll show you how it comes out. Comes out just like this. Ready to work with. And then for right now, until this is done baking, put the mix back in the refrigerator. Now we'll turn this down to 325. The recipe says cooking for 10 to 12 minutes. We're going to start at 8 minutes and check on them. You can always add more time to your cookies. You cannot take away time once they're burnt or overdone. Give it a few minutes for the bowl to show, and we can set up more trays. As soon as they come out of the oven, we can put these right in. Now with the extra chips, get one of your handy containers, put in your chocolate, and your vanilla. We're good to go. And the beautiful thing, if you need to make 2 batches, you can make them, refrigerate them, and if you feel like making only one batch for that night, just let the one batch chill for half an hour to an hour. Then you can make that right up. And the other one, you can even chill it overnight and make it the next day. Now we're going to make our next batch of cookies. That enough. Before we put, let's go over the recipe one more time. One cup of butter melted. That's 2 sticks of butter. 1 4 cup of brown sugar, either dark or light. 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. 2 large eggs, room temperature. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. 2 cups of flour. 1 cup of old-fashioned oats. Half of a teaspoon of baking soda. Half a teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1 cup of white chocolate chips. 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now remember, you're going to melt your butter separately in a small bowl. Then you take a big enough bowl to whisk your sugar into, to whisk both your granulated sugar and your brown sugar in with the butter until it's thoroughly dissolved and there are no more lumps in it. Then you put it in the refrigerator for 10 minutes. While you're doing that, you measure out all your dry ingredients. As soon as you're done with your dry ingredients, if you transfer that to another bowl, the bowl, and you're not using the same bowl you melted the butter in originally, the mix will cool down faster. So you can add the eggs and vanilla and then all your dry ingredients. And then after that, you put that back in the refrigerator for 30 minutes to 1 hour. And then you can start scooping out your cookies. So let's do the next batch. Let's check on the cookies first. Perfect. Now, we're going to take out our cookies. We're going to leave them on the tray. We're going to set them right here on top of the oven. And we'll put these right in the oven. Another Now we're going to take our mixture that's sitting. This is my second. See the mixture, when it's finished mixing, it's still like soupy to scoop out. So if you were to do it at that point, cookies would all melt into each other. But given what's in this recipe, the longer you let it sit, the easier it will be to scoop out. Now we're going to place this back into the refrigerator. And now you can either make these tonight, or you can cover this and make them when you have more time. Tomorrow, if you use it in the refrigerator, they can stay in there for 3 to 5 days maximum. In the freezer, you can leave it 2 weeks ahead in the freezer, but I don't recommend freezing them. That's just me, but I don't recommend freezing them at all. I'm just hoping, I want to show you how they look out of the oven. Okay. This should be done. Remember, these are 325, they're not at 350 or 375, so they might take just a little bit longer. It's an easy cleanup. It's an easy recipe to make. What more can you ask for? And before you get started, if you line, I have disposable sheet pans. If you line them with the pre-cut parchment paper, it'll go much quicker also. Oh, I know we can. Okay. When they're a little bit brown around the edges and they look dry, not that dry, but not real moist, you can take them right out of the oven. Just lightly browned around the edges and on top. And then move the bottom one to the top. That's another reason why I use light brown sugar. Because you can tell when they're getting brown around the edges. If you use dark brown sugar, it's really hard to tell unless you pull them out of the oven. That way, opening the door, you can tell. And as they sit on the cookie sheet, they will get harder and harder, and they will firm up. So that's why you don't remove them and you don't loosen them from the cookie sheet right now. Just let them sit on there. They'll continue to bake a little bit as the temperature on the pan drops. I don't know if you'll be able to see. You really can't see this, but when you make them at home, you'll be able to tell. They're lightly browned around the edges. They're they're still glossy on top as when you first put them in, when they first flattened out, but they look a little bit drier on top and they're slightly browned on top. Now, as they come out of the oven, they continue to bake a little bit. They're a little bit drier on top now. They continue to bake because the pan is still at the temperature they're needed to be at. Now you take the bottom cookie that you moved up to the the cookies that were on the bottom shelf and that you move up to the top shelf. Let those sit. We're just gonna put the two trays in we did. And then we'll set our time limit. top of your oven always cooks faster than the bottom. Thank you all for joining me here today in Cooking with AJ. Have a great day.